My name is James O. Ward. I'm recording for my archives, and I would like to start the archives off with something in my young life uh, about my childhood with my father that I adored him in every way. He was so good to me, kind, and respected me in every way, and saw that I had what I needed to get by, but it was in the middle of the Depression and the Sand Bowl, and he could only do so much. I understand that. But I remember this house we lived in. It was kind of up on a hill on a 100-acre farm, and he worked this farm all the time, and he had cancer in his ear, and he worked so hard uh, trying to keep this old farm going, and we'd plant cotton or something, and the rain would come and wash the terraces away, wash the cotton out, and then we lost our crop, and we had other means. We had a very wealthy person that was his daughter from his first marriage, that she gave us just about everything we needed. And my father and I was very good on finding food and living and making our life work. Uh, One night, it was, I guess about 9 o'clock, and we were sitting in the living room where we had the big heater going, and my father had cut up some old truck tires that he picked up out of the junkyard in town or something to bring back to use for emergency wood. And he was very ill. We couldn't go out and cut wood. We had to have people come in and pay them 50 cents an hour or something to cut wood for us. And we was out. And that night he was putting this rubber on the big stove, which is wonderful heat. And he sat down in the rocker, and he had went over and made the bed. I remember seeing him kind of make the bed up for him and I. We had the bed in the living room, and he kindly made this bed up for us to get ready to go to bed. And so we were sitting there. I can't remember. I think he went and got us some apple juice or something to drink, and we were sitting there, and so we heard a noise in back of us, which the door opened, and an old hound dog come in the door, and we respected our dogs like it was part of our life, because that's what hunted our food and what we ate from them. And so Dad just put the dog outside. And to tell you a little about the dogs, we would hunt every day for food, and he taught me well about how to handle a gun. I think the first thing that I did in my life was learn to handle a gun. And so he had an extra gun, and it was like a 20 gauge shotgun. And so he sawed the barrel off, he sawed the stock off, and made it fit my shoulder, which I got this gun later in life. I retrieved this gun later. And he made me this little gun, and I painted the stock silver. And he would take the shells and break them open and take some of the load out, because it wouldn't, take my shoulder and bruise it as a little kid, big shotgun. And I'd go out and I'd shoot, a quail now and then with it or something like that. And but he taught me well how to handle a gun. I just remembered so well. And so, as I was telling you, we were sitting there that night, and so my dad wasn't ready for bed. I could see that. I could see that he wasn't ready for bed. I remember him getting up, walking, and this and that. And I knew he wasn't ready, and I never was ready for bed. I wanted to stay up with him kind of late. And so he looked at me and he says, he called me Leon. He said, "Leon, go over there and turn the lamp down to save our kerosene, and we'll just sit by the fire for a while. And so I went over and I turned the lamp off all the way down, and the light went off, and I come back by the fire, which we had light, and from the fire was putting out quite a bit of light in the room. And we were sitting there, I think maybe we both might have fell asleep. I just don't remember that. But all of a sudden we heard the dogs barking and raising the devil out, like somebody was coming in. So Dad looked out the lane, couldn't see no car coming up or nothing. And so Dad was kind of leery, because there's a lot of thieves in those days. If you had pork or something on the smokehouse, they was there to steal it. If you had chickens in the barn, they would steal them. They'd steal anything they'd get their hands on for food. And so the dogs quit barking, like, it was over with at what they was barking at. But what we didn't realize at the time, the dog recognized the people that come up, and so after the dog saw who the people was, they quit barking. They didn't try to run them off or nothing like that, because they kind of accepted these people. And so then we was listening, and we heard the back screen door to the smokehouse open. And my father says, "Oh boy," he says, "they're going to take all of our meat off the back end of the porch." And so I was scared. I knew people come breaking in the house, and see, they knew my father was real sick, and that he wouldn't be no problem with them, by doing anything. And so I run over to him, and he stood up. He said, "Son," he said, "I'm not able to walk out to the back." He was very sick that night too. And he says, "I want you to just take your little gun and put it out the back door and pull the trigger." And he said, "Just shoot it down towards where I heard the noise." And so the big door was kind of painted, I guess it was kind of stained redwood or something to make it look better than what it was in time, I don't know. And so I walked over to the door, and I could hear two people out on the porch very clearly. And I was really scared of what I did. But I was so scared that I put a whole cartridge in the gun instead of the broke down shell. It was a full 20 gauge shot, which is not really that powerful, but it was a full 20 gauge shot, and I slipped it in, and my father saw me slip it in. And he says, "You got a big load in there, son." And I said, "Yeah, I understand that." I said, "I can handle it." And so I just opened the door, and I just barely put that barrel out the door, and I shot at the other end. And I heard a man scream, really scream, like, I knew I hit him. And I could hear them tearing the screen off the back end of the porch to get out, because they wouldn't dare to run by where the gun was. And they was tearing this screen out. And so it ended up being two of them. This one man climbed up on top of the rail where the screen was attached from there to the top, and he was going to jump out of the porch. And we had these rain barrels out there that we caught water from the roof, because at that time, the wells was going dry because of the blowing of the sand and everything. And so we would catch what water we could after the rain and keep it. And also, it was salt water. It was used for a lot of different things. And the man fell into it face first, body and everything, into a full 55-gallon barrel. And so he didn't move. And I didn't see it that night, as I say. I didn't hear no more commotion. The other one left, or I thought both of them had left, but we didn't know one of them stayed. And so the next morning, about daybreak, my father said, "Go out and see if they got any of the meat off the top shelf, and come back and let me know." So I walked out to the back shelf.